So
This will be interesting. I don't know what
I don't know why,
expect
like
from
it.
you.
Yeah. I don't know why instantly when you have a camera involved, it makes you a little nervous. I guess we just haven't been around cameras enough. But
Probably.
all right, so how I want to format this, and I'm talking to the camera, sometimes talking to you, sometimes fine. How I want to format this. This is just going to be blank,
Blank.
right? I'm trying to think of how I want to phrase this before we start.
Our introduction to our hunting podcast by Ash
Yeah.
and Forrest. Or Forrest and Ash.
Well, I have a feeling I'm going to be on it a lot more than you will, just because I'm going to do it with a lot of different people. But whenever you're on it, we'll post it to your page too.
Probably. Maybe.
Okay,
see how
so
this goes.
I'll introduce myself first. My name is Forrest Rogers. This is my wife, Ashley Rogers.
Hello, guys.
So it's kind of a podcast. It's kind of not. I will be posting it just to YouTube unless it does like good, which I can't imagine it's going to because I know like 3 people. So we'll see. I'm going to mostly just interview different hunters, and I want it to all be in-person stuff, so people will be coming here. I'll introduce a lot of my friends at first that are pretty into hunting or into the industry at least. But I'll start off with me. So my name is Forrest Rogers. If you know me, cool. You probably don't know a lot of stories about me, and I'll share that. But if you don't know me, I have been into hunting and in the industry for a little while. And by industry, I mean the archery side of things. I started out at a young age archery hunting. I would say the first thing I really did was archery hunting, that I can remember anyways. My first deer I shot with a rifle, and that was right after I went through hunter safety, and that was a pretty wild story. I'll get into that. I'm sure sometime down the road I'll talk about my first deer hunt, but I'll post a picture on it right here just so you can see what it is. So archery hunting's always been in
Your
I would
life for
say-
sure, I feel like.
yeah,
You
archery
grew up,
hunting's always been in my life.
you always grew up outdoors from what I saw from, I mean, obviously being a part of your family.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys are definitely the outdoors.
Yeah, but I mean archery in general.
Yeah.
So I had some stuff in my family that caused me to be more into archery than other things, I guess. So I started at a young age. I'm trying to remember. Maybe I was 12 when I shot my first elk with a bow. And I did that for a long time, just elk and deer hunting. I then got into waterfowl. So waterfowl kind of hooked me. I can't tell you how much I waterfowl hunted all throughout high school, all throughout, early college. And we were hunting a couple times a week, it seemed like.
Yeah.
So that really hooked me. And we met in high school. So she got a lot of the waterfowl hunting side of things. And at first she didn't have a hunting license, but she was going all the time.
Oh, yeah. I was tagging along even with elk hunts even back then, and a couple deer hunts, turkey hunts. Really got me hooked right away for sure.
Yeah, so that was awesome. I would say that was the biggest part of my hunting career was early waterfowl. That's kind of what drove me to be in the hunting industry. But I guess it's kind of funny because it's not waterfowl related, but how I got into the industry was I started working at Spokane Valley Archery. It's also Podium Archer. They have a website online. You could check them out, with Josh Jones. He is a mentor. He's kind of like a father figure to me now. But I had ordered a new bow from a kid that had worked there. His name was Ryan Gable. And I was super excited about getting into archery more than I had already been, because I had kind of a cheap bow when I was younger, and then I moved up, and then this bow was going to be like, I'm going to start doing big game hunts. Well, I'm pretty sure Ryan didn't order it. I could be wrong, and if he watches this, he might laugh, but it was like, months that I had ordered this bow, and it never came in, and I I was going in every day. I was
feel like I remember you going in a lot.
And I had gotten a recurve because I was like, I need to shoot something. Like I have this archery itch. I need to shoot something. So I had gotten a recurve. We had done a couple shoots. I had done top pin, which is coming up here pretty soon, and we're gonna do. But I had shot that recurve for a while, and I finally went in, and I'm like, Josh, is like my bow ever gonna come in? He's like, what bow was it? And I'm like, it's a Reckoning
this conversation.
35 when they first came out. And he's like, let me look. He's like, oh, it should be here in 3 weeks. So I'm like, or it was like 4 weeks, which is your standard time for a bow normally to get here. So I'm assuming it never got ordered. But it wasn't a big deal. I wasn't super bummed out about it. But I was going in there every day, and finally Josh is like, hey, you want a job? Or I'm like, hey, you guys need help around here? And he's like, you could help film mail. And I'm like, cool. Well, within, I think, days, he's like, yeah, I think I want you to quit your other job and start working here.
It's like, yeah, you need to stay here.
So I did that for a long time. And let me tell you, SVA is like
it's our second
family.
home.
Yeah, we're
Definitely
there all the time.
home.
I love everyone there. Like I say, Josh is a father figure to me now.
Even our daughter, like,
yeah, I mean,
runs up to it and says, Josh. Yeah. So, he's definitely part of our family for sure.
Yeah. I guess maybe an archery shop is just like that. I haven't worked at any other archery shops, so I can't tell you that. It's just, it feels like a family when you're in there. Every coworker I've worked with there, they just are tight knit, and that's also the hunting community. I think is just very tight knit people for the most part. So that's, I guess, what has gotten me into hunting. I'll have more stories in the future when I'm talking with new people, and you'll hear a lot about my stories, I'm sure. And I might even tell a few before the end of this podcast, but I really wanted to talk about my wife and how she got into
everything.
Because, I mean, her mom is not about the hunting scene.
No.
So I think it's super cool that she has gotten into it, and she has sometimes been more driven than me in a lot of ways. So that's kind of what this podcast is going to be about. I was just introducing myself a little bit, so you kind of have a backstory of who I am. It'll be, like I say, on YouTube, so you'll be able to see it here, and it'll also be mixed in with some of my hunting films. I'm going to try and do more hunting films, I think, this year. It's
my goal for sure, too. I want to be more out there.
Yeah, just,
YouTube-wise, I mean, just trying it out, testing the waters.
If it's a good video, we'll upload it. Or if we think it's a good video. We're not obviously videographers or anything crazy. I know how to push a record button. But I will introduce my wife, and this will kind of be what it's like, just hearing different stories and different tactics and different ways to go about hunting, because I want to learn. This is honestly more for my learning than it is anything, but we might as well record it if we're going to do it, you know?
Test it out.
So, I want to hear your version of your first hunting experience. I don't know if you can remember back that far. That was
no, it was a long time
decade ago.
Yeah, literally a decade ago. I have to pull back some memories here. Well, let's see. So obviously I met you in high school.
Yeah.
And was obviously really interested in the outdoors at that time. Like I said, going backwards. Family-wise.
Your grandpa shot rifles and fished and everything like that. So
yeah, my grandparents are the ones that pretty much like drove me to the outdoor side of things. And I loved being outdoors, camping and fishing and those kinds of things. So just wanting to do more in the hunting I've always was drawn to, but I just never knew how am I going to get into this. So I met you, which was awesome, got me into it a lot and really pushed me. But I feel like my first physical hunting experience, like getting something, or more along tagging along and watching. I'm
trying to remember what the first one would be. Probably
but my first experience that I remember probably was the tree stand hunt close by our house.
Oh, yeah.
You're like this one. And we I don't even remember when it was. It was, I think it was was it early season or later in the season?
Which tree stand are you talking about?
The double
tall
stand
one, or
where you're like, do you want me to shoot this? And I'm like, sitting there shaking to death in the tree stand. Like, it might have been late season, to be honest. And you're like, do you want me to shoot this?
Yeah, it was late season. There was snow
I think it was
on
a
the ground.
small buck too.
No, it was a doe.
Was it a doe?
Yeah, because I don't normally shoot a doe, but you could shoot does at that point during archery season.
That was probably the first memory I think I have of that experience. And I just remember you looking over at me with those big eyes and saying, do you want me to shoot this?
Yeah, it was probably.
And I was like shaking in so much like nerves and excitement with everything. And I was like, yes.
I think more of the reason you were shaking is because you had to get in a tree stand. You weren't down with the tree stand.
Oh, yeah. I guess we should
Yeah, we'll backtrack to that story. That's a better one.
That's a terrible story. So I'm still getting used to obviously the heights and tree stands. So when we first started hunting together and being pretty much a couple at that point, I remember going on an elk hunt and we're hiking through the woods and like elk were around us and Forrest's like, there's elk coming, get up this stand right now. So and I look up and mind you, this stand is like 20,000 feet in the air. At least that's what it felt like to me.
This isn't a normal tree stand. This is like, you know, like you're going through the woods and you have like this old timer that built a wooden shack up in the tree.
That thing was like
with like 9 ladders that are hooked. And I'm like, there's elk coming. I got a rifle. We're getting up about a 80-foot to 100-foot tree stand.
It had death written all over it. That's all I know. Well, mind you, I climbed up this thing, first tree stand ever, and I'm definitely afraid of heights, and that was not a good thing. I was like shaking on the top, and I could not move a muscle because I was terrified. And yeah, that was fun.
Yeah, I just remember you like laying flat on the board, and I'm like, well, the elk didn't come through. Let's get back down.
And I had no idea how I got back down, to be honest, because I was terrified as shit.
Yeah.
Pretty much pissed my pants all the way down.
Yeah, that was a funny experience. My dad was so mad that I made you get in that tree stand.
I know. He still talks about it to this day,
yeah,
too.
He's like, I can't believe you did that.
Traumatized me for life. Just kidding.
No,
I've gotten really good at being in tree stands now. I'm a lot more comfortable.
Yeah.
I feel like for the most part compared to where I was.
Some of the tree stands are still pretty sketch.
Yeah.
I like being in a really high in a tree stand, so I understand how it can be nerve-wracking at times. But yeah, there's that hunt. You went on that doe, so I was like, I'm going to shoot this for her so she can have the full experience, right? Shot this doe. She had a super cool time.
Yeah, that was probably a really cool time, to be honest. First time ever seen something get shot. I think that was the very first one, to be honest.
Yeah.
I can remember.
I guess the next season I shot that elk with you.
Oh, yeah. That was probably my first elk hunt, I think, hunting with you. Not seeing elk at base camp or anything like that.
Yeah. So this was like a fluke scenario, I guess. Washington, there's not really, especially over the counter, you don't really see a lot of elk. And if you hunt Washington and you hunt public land Washington, you know, like, hey, there's not generally a ton of chances at elk. Well, I was like, hey, we're going to go elk hunting. I got this spot and it might produce an elk. It might not.
Yeah.
Well, we go into this spot and no joke, it's like gray light in the morning and there's bulls bugling everywhere. And I'm like, I cannot believe this. This has got to be hunters, right?
I do remember that feeling of like just everything around us was like just going off like flames. I was like, whoa, is this normal?
We find out it's really elk and we're like, and they're coming straight for us. And
we were in the dead center too of this herd. It was wild.
Well, it was a half an hour after shooting light and we're in the middle of this herd and there's a 6-point bugling at 60 yards raking and I couldn't get a shot at him, and I was like, Washington, I'm going to shoot anything. Like,
anything legal.
Any elk that comes through is going to die. Except a calf. I probably wouldn't have shot. Well, maybe I would have shot.
I wouldn't have, but you probably would have.
But I am looking at this bull, and Ashley taps me on the back, and she goes, babe, there's a spike behind us.
Yeah.
And I just turned around and just smoked him. He went like 20 yards and
He
went
was
down.
probably, I felt like he was like 15 yards behind us.
No,
literally.
he was 30 yards.
Well, it felt way closer though, for sure.
It was pretty close. It was cool. So
I felt like I could feel him breathing on me almost.
kind of a fluke Washington experience.
Yeah, that was wild.
I was supposed to go on a week-long trip with my dad, and he wasn't feeling too good, so he didn't get up that morning, and we were going to travel out. Well, I was like, I'm not going to waste a morning, and we're going to go elk hunting. Like, I got this spot. I call my dad. I'm like, hey, I shot an elk. And I don't know whether he was happy or bummed because he's like, well, are we going to go on our trip still? Or
Yeah, it was cool. And it was pretty, I felt like it was a pretty unique bowl too, like for a spike.
Yeah, he was like a spike, but he had like
a bowl.
Yeah, 4 points on each side, which was pretty cool.
Literally hold like half a cup of water in its little, I don't even know, bowl that you would call it. It's pretty wild.
Yeah, it was cool.
That was a cool experience for sure.
Waterfowl experience. You got really into waterfowl for a while.
Yeah, waterfowl is super great.
We did that a lot. I would say, what was your first water? Probably down on at Grandpa's.
Yeah, I think it was probably down at Grandpa's house, down in the Snake.
So
yeah,
I'm trying to think of what would be the first hunt. I would say,
gosh, I don't even know. We've hunted so many times waterfowl.
I know,
feel
there's a
throughout
lot
the
of them.
decades. I couldn't tell you either.
Well, we can talk about one of the funny experiences with your waterfowl hunting and bands. If you want to talk about that story.
That story's great.
I want to hear your perspective
My
on that story.
perspective. Well, obviously we were hunting this one spot and we scouted it a couple days beforehand and we're like, holy moly, we've never seen so many birds in our life at this spot. We're like, this is going to be top tier, like something that you see on like YouTube with like famous
You see a lot of stuff on YouTube these days that aren't very good.
But this was like something that your dreams are made of, essentially, is what I would think of it. It's like, holy moly. I just remember stepping out of the truck and like listening to all these birds in the wings and all like teal, mallards, widgeon, like pintail, the whole 9 yards. And I was like, my gosh, this is going to be epic. Like insane. Well, anyways, we get to the spot and we're pretty much hunting this flooded field and we're like picking off, drakes and like only shooting drakes at this point, and it was great. And Forrest's like, well, we have a couple birds left. I'm gonna.
Well, there's more to that story. We literally there was so many birds in this area that just wanted to be here. We set out 2 decoys.
It was we probably could have gone without any, but
we probably could have
but
because they just. Like there was a flooded field and it was the only flooded field around.
Yeah, it was
and they
wild.
just wanted to be there.
So we're like, let's just take these 2 and see how it goes. Well, yeah, and we're like shooting off these birds just sitting in the water with 2 decoys right next to us. And Forrest's like, I'm going to shoot a pintail because why not? I mean, we're almost pretty much limited out at this point and we have all drakes and everything. And all I remember is like, the only thing I'm going to shoot is if there's a band. And I'm like, oh, okay, I bet, I'm sure. And well, sure enough, he's like, hey, look, babe, there's a band coming in.
This was like after like 15 Drake mallards landed
and
like
we
10 feet from
passed.
us. And we're just like, there's some pintails coming in. Let's wait for some Drake pintails.
Yeah.
Because where we hunt, there's not a lot of Drake pintails.
No.
I mean, you don't see those very often.
Very
Some people say, oh, I'm tired of shooting my pintails, but we don't see them very often.
No, definitely not. And he's like, there's a pintail. He's like, right there, shoot that. Or not pintail, sorry, a banded mallard, Drake mallard. And I'm like,
It was swimming in our decoys.
I'm like, no, you're full of shit. I don't believe you. Because he always messes with me. So I never, so he's yanking my chain. And well, he pulls up his gun and
shooting it.
Shoots it. And I'm like, what the heck did you just do? He's like, I told you it was banded. I was like, no, you're not serious with me right now. Sure enough, he goes out and retrieves it and holds up the band. And I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. It's like my luck. The one time I don't believe you, you shoot it.
Yeah. I shot a band on the very first day that season and the very last day that season. That's kind of funny.
Yeah.
Both
that was
greenheads.
super weird, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that was a cool year. You got a cool experience with all those bands.
Yeah. Yeah, I got a few of them now. So what do you... Aside from past stories, we'll tell more, I'm sure, in the future. What do you want to get out of this season? Like what, as far as big game and small game, what do you want to see this season look like?
This season, that's a tough one. Well, obviously it's a lot harder now with children or kids or child. So obviously if I can just get out as much as I possibly can. And at this point, I'm always looking for meat at this point for family. Like,
Yeah.
obviously I want to get something nice, but at the same point, I'm like, no, we need the meat in the freezer. So I think getting out, obviously I'd like to get a white-tailed deer is a goal this year.
Yeah.
Maybe a mule deer. We'll see how the season plays out.
With your bow, of course.
Yes, definitely
I'm assuming.
archery. Yes. I am very stuck on archery. I like archery a lot. I've gone muzzleloader hunting before. I haven't done rifle yet. That might be something I may have to try here in the next future for sure. But I do like the archery. I just like the challenge of being close, I guess. That aspect of just sneaking up and being close. But I definitely would like to get a whitetail. Maybe even a turkey later on in the fall would be cool too. I like turkey hunting. Mm-hmm. Just something that's easy and simple. I love to take Teal out on something like that too. Get her into hunting too. I know she talks about wanting to shoot a turkey or shooting a big elk too.
Yeah,
we watch elk hunting videos on YouTube. She's like, Mom, I'm going to shoot an elk, a big one.
Yeah.
So I think that's pretty funny. So that's probably my goal this season is getting her out there with me. I don't care what I get, I guess, at that point, as long as she gets the experience of being outside and experiencing, I guess, the hunting side of things is I think what I want this season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's good. I think you might actually get to shoot something with a rifle this year. We're going to try and do some bear hunting in August, I think.
Ooh.
So,
I guess I've never gone bear hunting. That would be a cool experience, to be honest.
Yeah,
too.
we'll probably take rifles, but we might take bows.
Yeah.
You never know. But that's possible. It's possible that you do shoot something with a rifle this year, and that would be cool. I have shot one bear, but we're going to try doing some serious bear hunting this August, I think. And then September comes along. I'll be camera guy, but we'll be archery hunting for mule deer for probably a little bit, unless we can find a good whitetail spot.
Yeah.
If we can find a good whitetail spot, we'll do that. I might have an idea for elk in Washington, but once again, elk in Washington's pretty rare.
Very hit and miss for sure. Yeah, this year I didn't get a Idaho over-the-counter tag either, non-resident, so maybe next year, but we've been talking about putting in for Montana.
Anywhere, really. We just need to start
elk.
putting in for points
Somewhere.
and getting some stuff. So, yeah, I think bears on the agenda, whitetail, elk.
I'd love to shoot a cougar. I know I had that cougar tag the last year, but
well, it's not just a cougar tag. You had a hound hunter permit. We just didn't go enough, I guess. The snow, the year we had it was actually 2 years ago.
I think it was 2 years ago.
Yeah. The snow was spotty. So the one good day we had, I ended up shooting a lion. But the snow was just really spotty.
That was honestly the coolest one I've ever been on. Like the whole cougar hunting with hounds, that was pretty epic.
It's cool. I don't know that I'll shoot another lion unless I
I feel like it's a once in a lifetime type of thing.
If I walk into one and it's a nice cat, I might. But I don't know that I'll. Sorry about that.
We had a little intermission.
A little stinker interrupt. So
she is refusing to nap right now, which is okay. She's just behind us watching her bluey, so she should be good.
So plans for this year, I think, is where we left off. We'll get all your hunting in for sure.
Yeah.
Archery early season. I actually got a rifle tag this year, so I broke my wrist riding dirt bikes.
It's bound to happen.
I really enjoy riding dirt bikes. So I broke my wrist and had emergency surgery, and it's going to take a little bit of time to heal up. So I got a rifle tag for deer. I did get an elk tag for archery. Actually, I might even not have declared yet.
I don't remember you getting an elk tag. You did.
Yeah, I have an elk tag, but I haven't declared yet.
For Washington, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll see what I do there. It'll probably be archery late season if I do it. But I drew a second deer as well. And so I'm going to try and do maybe some mule deer hunting, I think.
I think that'd be cool with a rifle for sure.
I haven't shot a mule deer in quite a while, it seems like, and I've been itching to do that. And then waterfowl hunting. I think we'll do quite a bit of waterfowl hunting compared to normal this year. I say that, but I think it's going to be more scouting than it is going to be hunting.
Yes.
Because I've gotten to the point where I'm not.
We're very picky now, I feel like.
That's how I've gotten.
Yes.
You only have so much time. So you can take a kid scouting with you, right?
Yeah.
All those people out there, I mean, people say you can't. We take our kid everywhere. We are always taking her hunting. I almost shot a bull with her on Ashley's back.
It was the coolest thing ever. I just remember, I mean, we're hiking in and Teal's on my back and Forrest's like, there's a 6x6 right there. And Teal's like, where? Mommy, where?
She's wiggling her
She's
feet.
wiggling and kicking me in the back. And she finally saw the elk. And she's like, oh, elk. And I'm like, Teal, we got to be quiet.
Yeah.
So it was really cool. Forrest almost got him. And that would have been the greatest story ever for her to remember. And just, yeah, it's pretty epic. Hopefully we get more situations like that, I feel like, this year.
Yeah. Ashley shot her bull. We packed Teal in. We packed Teal out. We packed the elk out.
Yeah.
I mean, scouting is an easy thing to do with kids. So we'll do a lot of scouting. And if we find a good hunt, we'll get on a good hunt.
I think it would be cool to take her on a waterfowl hunt. Like
maybe in the early season.
Mm-hmm.
An early season field hunt would be good.
Yes.
But those late season cold days are even rough on me.
Yeah, myself.
Rough on everyone. But I'm going to be a lot more picky about what hunts I do just because you only have so much time when you have kids.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think that's going to be our season upcoming is mostly just deer. Maybe some bear in there. We might get an elk in there. If any of this happens, you'll see videos of it because I'm going to try and record everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it would be cool if we got more videos of hunts. I mean, yeah. I think just getting out there more is cool.
So this podcast will be a little bit more formal than this. This is just kind of, we had some spare time and we were just going to kind of talk about ourselves and talk about what I wanted to do. I'll have it a little bit more formal than this.
Yeah. Just a little test run today.
This kind of short episode, I would guess, is what you'd call it. So, yeah. Anything else you want to talk about?
I don't know. I don't think so. At least not today. I'm sure we'll have lots more to talk about here.
We'll talk about more stories.
Yeah.
You can follow us on Instagram. Your Instagram is
Ashbanash01.
That's your YouTube channel as well, right?
My YouTube channel, yep. So
you can follow her there.
Yep, both Ashbanash01.
My Instagram is, I think, Forrest Rogers _ 00.
I think that's right.
Or it's Forrest _ Rogers 00. One of the two. Look me up on there. You'll see my ugly face. So, yeah.
Such a turn.
It's going to be talking about hunting mostly.
Yep.
Learning tactics.
Yeah, hunting, learning tactics. I feel like, and just like, I don't know, being parents of a kid and getting them outdoors, just like what we do to start them off with. And I don't know, I think that's the biggest part for me. I was like, I want to show Teal what it's like too. I want her to grow up that way.
I'll describe in the titles that it's going to be a waterfowl podcast or an elk podcast or BS podcast or whatever. I'll describe what it is because some guys don't want to listen to waterfowl. Some guys don't want to listen to elk hunting. I like it all. So it's all going to be on there. You might hear some foul language. You might hear, I don't know, just don't be sensitive. Maybe I'll get canceled. We'll see.
Yeah, we might. Just kidding.
So I'm just going to be who I am and go from there.
Yeah, I think that's a good plan.
So I think we already got a guest lined out for next week sometime if I can squeeze them in. If not, it'll be 2 weeks. But I'm going to try and squeeze them in sometime next week.
Who are you thinking?
We'll talk about that later. Yeah. Like I said, it'll be mostly friends first, and then we'll go from there. I have a feeling it's going to be a waterfowl podcast, the first one.
Oh, really?
So,
that'd be cool.
Yeah. So thanks for watching us. It's kind of goofy. This might be not a great one to start out with, but
we are learning as we go.
Yeah.
Yep.
Follow along.
Yep.
If you want to or not, I guess. comment down on what you do want to hear. If you want to hear any tactics or any whatever you want to hear, just let me know so I kind of have a general idea of what I want to do. I'm new at this, so I need questions. I need comments on what to do.
Yeah, feedback's always a good thing.
Yeah. So thank you, and we'll see you next week probably.
Y'all take care.